Hi there. I thought I'd do a follow up on the long and the short because I spent this afternoon looking at some other aspects that I thought worthy of investigation. Specifically, I wanted to look at trading pre race to build up the free bet on the outsider. Specifically, the idea being that I'd set up a free bet, then I'd go back in again to hopefully create another free bet and essentially just build up the value of that free bet prior to the beginning of the race. So that was a bit of a challenge given my rather poor standard of pre-race trading historically. And indeed, there was 2 or 3 races where I did find myself in a little bit of difficulty, but I managed to extricate myself. In addition to that, I also wanted to look at then taking the long and the short in running, keeping in mind that's where all my experience is. That's what I prefer to do: go in running, dutching, trading in running, and so on and so forth. You've all seen lots of videos of me doing that. But instead of trading out to cover the stake on the outsider, what I wanted to do was to actually ask for a bit more. So I was typically asking for 10 ticks, and the reason for that is rather than just covering the outlay on the outsider, which meant that you'd only get dribs and drabs, small greens throughout the day, which can make the day a very long day. I wanted to boost that profit somewhat so that you're not totally relying on a really good result from a free bet on an outsider. Keeping in mind, by definition, those things are going to come along, once in a blue moon. So most of your day will be spent just having the small trades. So essentially I was asking for 10 ticks going in running. And that's there you see the results of today. The last one was a bit frustrating. The lay was only partially matched before drifting out again, which was a shame. That spoilt the result for today. But as you can see, typically you'll get 10 to 20 pounds by looking for 10 ticks. The ones where the smaller results, they were the ones where I got into difficulties pre-race, and the in-running one recovered any potential losses there. But other things that you might want to consider, if I just switch to this Dundalk race so I've got something to look at. I also wanted to investigate some of the other settings that are available to us within the Dutching tool. So instead of simply choosing a couple of runners to Dutch, if you find a situation where, let me see, if I don't go to that favourite and instead go to, let's say, have a notion here, you'll see that as your favoured horse, as the odds increase on your favoured horse, obviously the stake on your on your long shot will obviously increase as well. And you may get to a situation where, if I choose a different one so they've got bigger values. So you might have a situation where you've chosen your short price horse and you've chosen your outsider that you want to apply this to, but you end up with a result whereby the stake on the outsider is a little bit too much to get back from your short price runner. Now this is particularly true if you're doing this pre-race. If you're doing this pre-race, you really only want to be able to have to trade out for a tick or two to recover whatever stake you've got there, whereas that would represent perhaps 5-6 ticks. One of the things you can do, of course, is to use the variable profit ratios, and if you increase this, you can see that the stake on your outsider is going to decrease. So that's one thing that you can do, and I've done that on a few races today, and that's worked really well. And of course, there's nothing to stop you if you were doing this pre-race. There's nothing to stop you just going back in and doing the same thing again, either on the same pair of horses or on different runners. Doesn't really matter. And the other thing that you might want to think about doing is, although this race here isn't particularly obvious, let's see if I can find another one. Right, on here, if you look at the odds on here, you might think, well, this one isn't suitable for the long and the short because the outsider's got a relatively short price. Keep in mind, although this won't really work pre-race, but if you do it in running, there's nothing to stop you asking for a bigger price. So let's just, for the sake of argument, pick these two runners here. So you'll see I've got £11 to go on this, so I might want to increase that and essentially decrease the stake that I've got to recover. But in addition, you'll see that this free bet isn't going to be of particularly high value. Now, if you take the view that you're looking for a free bet on an outsider, in all likelihood that outsider's not going to win, so it's clearly going to drift. So what you can do is simply ask for higher prices. So you might want to, ask for 10 ticks more. And that will then give you the opportunity of getting a better free bet. So you may want to combine these two settings to jiggle about with this number here to make a reasonable opportunity for a decent free bet, as well as keeping that small enough to let you recover without too many ticks. Keeping in mind, however, if you are going to do that, that's only really going to work in running, and so you'll probably end up asking for more ticks in any case. Anyway, that's a couple of things that I've been looking at this afternoon. The results have been reasonable, apart from that one there which let the side down. As I said, I've been going in and trying to build up a profit by going in repeatedly. Particularly in pre-race, I'd go in 2 or 3 times. I set myself a profit target, or sorry, I should say a free bet target of £500 in each race. I didn't quite manage it in every one of them, but you'll also see some absolutely cracking potential free bets in there. Unfortunately, none of them have come good, but that's to be expected, given the nature of the bet, which again is the reason for going and running and asking for 10 ticks to boost those profits. Anyway, as I say, make use of some of the additional settings within the dialog box to allow you to manipulate the numbers and see how you get on. Okay guys, thanks very much.